now live on YouTube as well. Yeah. So I'll just introduce you and then you can take out. Good afternoon and welcome to the second session of this Sunday, where we listen to the self-discovery story of the family members. I call it story because it is very interesting. Revelation by the individual about the script they are living in this birth. So thanks to this genetic brain profiling, which helps individuals to know what is their journey in this birth is all about. What is the gadget they are possessing, they are having to go through their life journey in this birth. So today, in that series, today we have Dr. Tamilarasi, who is a naturopathy physician, who is there with us in spite of her busy schedule. I think when she came to us for learning, training, she was a student, finally a student, I guess. And now she is a practicing physician. So in spite of her very busy occupation requirements to do her profession, the primary profession, she has found time to come and share how genetic brain profiling has helped to live a new kind of life experience by knowing about herself. So I am also eagerly waiting to hear from her. What is the life like before genetic brain profiling and after genetic brain profiling for her personally, and with the revelations that she has gone through or seen through the customers, the clients, and the beneficiaries of genetic brain profiling. With all that wisdom, the knowledge she has gathered in various counseling activities that she has done, I'm sure she is going to reveal a lot about herself and a lot about how genetic brain profiling can be a transformer in the lives of human beings. Over to you, Dr. Tamilarasi.
Thank you so much for such a beautiful introduction, sir. I would like to begin my session with my favorite quote, Swasthasya Swastha Rakshitam. Let's preserve the wellness of all, every living being. And how? Knowing who we are, what we are, and how we are. So this journey towards self-discovery is like a mirror to me. And GBP is the image I saw in the mirror. It is obviously myself. So I'll have to begin with a beautiful metaphor which Sri Ramakrishna was sharing at one of his satsanga. He was added that, when Rama and Lakshmana along with Sita, when they were on their journey towards the forest. And, Rama was leading the journey, Sita followed by Sita, and Lakshmana is following Sita's footsteps. Lakshmana was, want to see Rama on every step of him. And he couldn't, since Sita was there in the center. He couldn't take it. He was asking Sita, can you just move so that I could, see my ideal self? With no delay, Sita just moved, and Lakshmana saw Rama as he is, his very own ideal self. And Ramakrishna added that, Rama is an true aspect of life, and Sita in the middle. Those were the things we created for ourselves from the external environment. And Lakshmana is us, the people who's on our very own journey. When we are, ask ourselves to move aside the things we created by ourselves, we could see the ideal self. With no further delay, I invite you all to my very own journey of self-discovery. So I'm a focused learner with utmost adaptiveness. When I see this, this 82.28%, I was really happy, like I scored that much mark in my, examination. And that is the moment I realized, when the adaptiveness is bigger, I can fall over some place and I can, beat that, I can beat that. So this, when I see this, I was like, what? Then who I am? Then what I need? So when continuing this journey, I could see that, my observation, occipital is higher. And my sensory self is higher, where, I need such an information where I used to ask for show me something where I could believe. I myself, like whenever, wherever, though in my profession, though doing my schools and colleges, I used to ask, show me something where I could believe. And being my visual is higher, I always love to see pictures, to see something and learn from there. And getting into my getting into my way of observing things, and my reflective domain is 40%, where I need some repetitions. Now I could still remember when I was attending my training over there at the head center. I was asked to speak. I was standing in front and sir was offering me a mic. I don't know how to on it. I was repeatedly trying. And that repetition at the end of fifth attempt, I switched on the mic, put it over my shawl, pinned over my shawl, and just I started to speak. And with all the patience, Saratnasamy sir was there and he was like, that's okay, no problem. This is you. No, and nothing was wrong in that. And he guided me from over there. So my another, like I am 50% affective personality where I need motivation to learn. I need motivation. So the motivation from sir, he patted me at the back. I still remember that and I still hear his words. He said, you can do it. Trust yourself. And he said, your pattern, I showed you your pattern. I am there. Start your journey. And that was really a starting point of my journey. So I love observing things from everywhere around me. I love observing things. I love to, I love observing things and when it is in the picture format, more colorful things. If that was there, more colors were there, I can understand it or I can, grab it for a longer duration. So when it comes to practice, I was like, no, I'm not ready for it. Like, okay, I used to procrastinate. No, let me do it tomorrow. No, not tomorrow, not after this moment and after that moment. So after, knowing this, knowing my profile, since I am there, it is my model and I am consciously pushing myself into practice. Since I have a low, working memory and a short-term memory, which were both 29.60%, I do get information, being sensory person, I do get information from everywhere. I just love getting information. When putting into my subconscious mind, I was more trusting my, conscious mind. So after knowing my pattern, I have decided to trust my conscious mind and put more repetitive and more repetitive practice into it, where I could get a good long-term memory. So which was 40.82%, which is higher in my profile. And repeatedly, putting this into my practice, I took my time after completing my journey with after completing my practice session and learning with MiDNA. I take a pass for a while. It has been nearly 6 to 7 months, and I started learning little by little. first concentrating over a very little small things, and I put things into my memory, and then I started my journey. Then I took my, the first scanning. So my interest over biological science was really high, which ended me in putting into my profession. So I have my primary learning percentage was 24.43%, which was pretty low, and my higher learning potential was at university. So I'd love to share my very own story. So after finishing my school days, being reflective, when my father said, you choose naturopathy, I was like, after, I did my very own research with the resources I had that time, and I searched a college, and I ended up in a very wrong college. Since the only thing is my father said, you do things differently. I see him as my ideal self, and I was reflecting him. I myself don't know that it was because of my very own personality. So I followed his words, and I ended up in a very wrong college by 2012. And when I realized if I stay there at that college, I couldn't, finish my curriculum. I just want to come away from there. And I started asking for my certificates. I would say fortunately they were not ready to give. And I was at my home for 4 long years till 2016. And that is a time I was, I have gone through such a hell. Those hells made me, this stronger today, I would say. And so because of that, I was very much adamant to stay in naturopathy. I had got so many opportunities to end up in various other courses, and I was like sticking to it very, like adamantly. And I don't want to, go to other courses or other colleges. So I have got, such a bad advices from people around me, such a bad words around me. So you need all this, you need all this. You didn't, talk with us. We are seniors over here. You're doing this, you're doing that. And, I, because of that reflective nature of mine, when my father said, no, you just stay. I'll make you arrangement in the other college. So I was at home for the 4 years, sticking to it. And I never knew that all this of, because of my personality type. I was sticking to it. And, at the end of 2016, I got to learn in the other college. So I have enrolled in the other college. Again, the misery blade, I had no other option there to continue. So the government arranged us for another college, and I went there. So because of this, and I want to learn more. I want to learn more. I don't know what to learn more, or what to learn, from where to learn, but I had only thought to learn more. So, and from that moment, I was like, okay, let me begin my journey. And I started to learn. Since I am blessed with the highest educational preference in my university, so that helped me in getting knowledge a bit more. So since I'm a focused learner, wherever I go to any subject, I used to go deep into that subject, where I used to get that when I feel satisfied, I'll be back. So seeing my profile, my thinking orientation, I'm in concrete random. My concrete random and abstract random are high. So I love doing brainstormings, and I love to work in groups, clarifying things and discussions going on. Though I was not ready to do practical things, to do my to put my effort and do some practical things. So when coming to my lobe-wise processing, my left brain processing is a bit faster. So where I am being reflective and having that right brain, processing faster, I end up with people and I was like, grasping their attitudes and I'm behaving as who they are. So after doing this genetic brain profiling, I was like consciously, yeah, this is my pattern, and I am sticking more towards other people. And I was like, okay, let me take a pass, and I've started to have my voice. Okay, this is me. I'm being reflective. I'm getting more of them, more from them, or becoming as who they are. So I have took a pass, and I was starting to ask myself, okay, let me, no, not this. When a people say something, you do this or do that, I was, sticking more to the logic side. I was searching for the logics, and after getting knowing the logics and the things I want, and I was like, okay, this is myself. Okay, let me go with this or let me go with that. And seeing my my Riasic profile, um, I'm more of an enterprising and realistic person, where I love to do works in groups, and I love to take up comments. So when coming to my when coming to my profile, so I have an my right brain. I'm a left brainer with 54.72%, and my right brain with a divergent process with convergent processing, and left brain with the divergent processing. So I get to get that much of informations, but I would see the information, collect all the facts and see only one information. When I was asked to do 2 to 3 things together, I was not ready. I was struggling somewhere. So my, getting to know about my the lobe-wise preferential, my occipital is a bit higher. So I have decided to stick to the diagnosis part of my profession, where I my learnings and observation skill was high over there. So I would say, there was a famous saying that perfect diagnosis is perfect treatment done. So to diagnose perfectly, my occipital lobe is helping me a lot and putting effort. Where sticking to the procedure, I'm, it is helping me to assess a patient as a human being more than as a disease or more than as a disorder. So since I have my, my, parietal lobe, I have an X process over there. So I love doing fine motor skills. So even though I am a yoga naturopath, I was not, willing to put my efforts in yogic practices. And I love doing pranayamic practices and other such practices. And I really, I was like, being into yoga profession, I want to do yogic practices, but I love this. I had no idea of how. So when I did my profiling, so I realized that this is my nature, and I have stepped into a practice of Nadi Yoga, where I did my research over it, and I applied over 2 to 3 patients, and I have took it as a research process. So looking at my smartness profile, so my picture smartness is very higher. Again, it is occipital, and it gives me the strength of observation, and it is my plus, I would say, and I'm taking that forward with me. So being that word smart, wherever I speak with the people, they would say that they can connect easily to me. So when looking at my profile, when looking at my adult profile, so I'm a more of analytical person and introspective. And since I had my adversity quotient high, so in the first wave of COVID, I was the doctor who was stepped into my internship practices. We were asked who are all willing to do. So I was the first person to say yes to it. And the thing which struck my mind is being first matters being best. And this adversity quotient of mine helped me to say that statement and step into the first COVID warrior from naturopathy field as an intern doctor. and I worked over there. And due to that firstness, I have got few privileges where I attend meetings with such a great doctors. And there too, I was ready to pick what the advice I got from them, and I was strictly practicing, putting into the practice. The result were such amazing. And the thing is, the result was not I am. The result was like what I was guided. So I'm a reflective personality in both the domains, and with this highest adaptiveness, where I have to be, this helped me to be more conscious about what I have to do or what I am doing. So looking at my profile, I have an higher persistence. My looking at my genetic profile, genetic behavior profile, I have an highest persistence. So I can maintain the loyalty, and I can maintain in my current state. When the change is required or the change is needed for me to move into some other desired state, I want to put that much of effort consciously to move into some new habit. So my self-confidence is a bit higher. Sometimes it was it was like being overconfidence, and my self-motivation and patience, they were pretty good. So I'm a well-motivated person, so I can maintain my patience to be stick to that motivation. So when coming into practice, since my independence is a bit higher, though I love to take up advice from my seniors, or I love to reflect the person, my ideal person. I did my procrastination, and I was like, okay, let me do it. Let me do it now. No, let me do it now. Let me do it in my way. And I was just procrastinating. Since I had an higher friendliness, sometimes people misuse me, and I have never understood this before my profiling. And after doing my very own profile, I understood that this will spoil me. And I was I'm in the process of learning to draw that thin line of difference where I could stand in my place and be myself. So I'm a bit enthusiastic. If asked in the middle of the night, come, we'll do something inside the home, I'm ready to do with all my enthusiasm. Since my accuracy is a bit lower, so when I'm in the habit of saving something, when somebody asks, I'll give it everything to them. So I'm a goal-oriented person where if I stick, if I decide this is my goal, I stick to it loyally. So which I was doing in my college times. I stick to naturopathy very loyally, and I want to get to this. And since I have a lower range of performance steps oriented, process orientedness, so I'll be like, okay, let me do this, and I want to push myself more to keep that first step. So I'm pretty good with the people. So when it comes to people, I'll merge well with them, and I can share, brainstorm with them. And when I'm invited to go outside, I was like, no, let me do something inside. I love doing works indoor. So this helped me to evolve in my profession. So I have decided to work with the people, set my goal, which is of more of giving and diagnosis. It was more about diagnosis, where my fine motor skills and my observation and practical skills, where my goals and performance skills and the nature of mine for sticking with the people is helping me to evolve in there. So when seeing my desk profile, I'm a bit influential. So I'm a bit influential. So I love to associate with the people and interact with them. And my second higher is dominance and steadiness, where I can pace with the people for a certain period of time, and then I could lead them. And this leading also, in the term of friendliness, in the term of indoor activities. Though no, after knowing my profile too, I was not ready to go outdoor or do something. I want to push myself more for doing that. So I'm a good employer since I have a 70 percentage employee state, and my execution is just 25 percentage. And being an employee, I'm just 5 percentage. I'm an good employer with the skill of development. My development is 35.42 percentage. So when I see this two informations and connect to my profession, since I'm getting information from my seniors how to do and what to do and where to do and how much to do, this developing part of mine is helping me. So since my management is 32.63 percentage, when given 4 or 5 tasks I can do, but I can concentrate first on one, I'll finish one, and then I move to the second one. So when coming to my personality type, I love to spend my energy more towards inward, and I ask for more of informations to show me. So I'm a person who's more of a thinker. I think a lot. I think a lot before taking any decisions. And I am more of perceptive, where I don't I don't judge people. I was like, that's okay, come on, we'll have fun. No, that's okay. Sometimes this had broken me. This had changed my shape. And after doing my profiling, I understand who I am, and I am consciously putting my efforts to stick to my pattern. So this genetic profiling, after doing genetic profiling, I understand every domain of mine. Since I completed my final year when I was doing this, and at the right time I did genetic brain profiling, and where I understand the pattern of my brain, and this is helping me to grow every day in my profession, where I am carrying my observation over every aspect of my life. And after knowing that I am a person with who loves doing fine motor skills, I have completed my completed my PG diploma in emergency medicine, where we handle more of equipments. After knowing that I'm a focused person, I have enrolled in fellowship with clinical research, and I'm doing it now. But so I would just love to add a beautiful metaphor over here. So in the forest, there was an kingdom of animals living, and a human being was headed by them. A small cat, a small dog, a horse, and a camel. They were asked to do some course, which is they have to carry the wood logs from one side of the river, and they have to pass to the other side of the river. So these little dogs, camels, and horses, they were doing all these works. They were carrying one paddles of the woods, and they were transferring it. And the camel, it was very tall, having the big mouth, it was standing still. Looking at that stillness of the camel, all the other animals they were just aggressive over the camel. They went to the camel and asked, we are doing all this work, and why you're standing still? The camel just said hum, and it was again standing still. So these little animals, they were doing their works with the frustrations. And one point of the time, there was a magician who was crossing the forest with a beautiful wand in his hand. And all these animals rushed to the magician and told him all the story. And this magician said, hum. These animals again was asking the magician. The camel was also saying the same word. We are here just to get a solution, and you are also saying the hum. You just go and stand at the bank of the soil, see your reflection in the river. The magician said, all these animals, they went to the river and saw their reflection. There was a hump over every animal, which they don't like it. They don't love it. They understood that this was not them. Again, they went to that same magician, and they told, no, we don't like this. And this magician said, turn back and see what are all the things you did. So when looking back, each of the animal identified, they have collected that amount of that biggest amount of wooden logs over there. And they said, yes, we did it. Though we had a little things, we did it to the level we can. So now this magician said, all you go to the camel, run to the camel and say hump and come back and see your reflection in the mirror. So this animal, they went back to the camel and now they saw themselves in the mirror. They just realized one thing, that knowing ourselves, knowing what can we carry, we can do the difference. And this time when they are looking at the mirror, there was no hump over there. Again, they rush to the river and to see themselves, whether that mirror is lying. They see themselves in the mirror and there was no hump too. And they all realized that we can be a small little dog. We cannot have that big mouth or a tall structure. What we have is ourselves, the brain we have, the pattern I'm designed. And they happily carried their works and they were really happy. And this made the camel to run into the work field and the camel started to work. And I would say that magician and that magic is genetic brain profiling. I was really frustrated copying people. I was like, why can't I have my creative quotient higher, since I was, like I'm creating the things which I copied from the 4 people and I was doing it. I was doing it since I had a frustration of why I'm doing this. After doing my genetic profiling, I understood that that is my design. And now I'm very conscious about what I want to do and how I want to do. Thank you, and thanks to genetic brain profiling to show me who I am. And when I turn back the learnings I had, the experience I had, it is structuring me. It is an everyday growth here, and an immense gratitude to Ratnasamy sir and MiDNA. And I don't even have a word more than that. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much for lending me your ears.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Tamilarasi. I think one of the wonderful sessions I have heard in the recent times. You have been always my surprise, and I will talk about it after hearing anyone else in the audience to give their feedback. Then I would like to say something on what amazed me in you. And yes, now the floor is open. Sunny is there. Is Sunny there? Yeah, I think he's not there. Anyone else would like to give a feedback? Bhavana is there. Yeah, Bhavana. Bhavana, are you there? Yeah, please.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, your blessings to Dr. Tamilarasi.
Yeah, she did a good job, sir. And she was very candid about her shortcomings. And I think she connected to her reflective personality. And though there are other things involved, but at least she could connect her own life to her GBP. So I wish her all the best. And I'm sure she'll learn much more with us. And she will progress and help many more of her patients in this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, anyone else would like to give any feedback before I speak? Right. Okay. So, yeah, coming back to my, I would say, summary or concluding remarks about this session, I must say, both in the training and after training until date, Dr. Tamilarasi has been an exceptional performer for me. She taught me that I used to think that too much of reflective people would find very difficult to perform certain tasks, that come across. All of you will agree with me. There was not even a single flaw in her communication language that she spoke. So when she came here, she came with a friend, colleague who was cognitive, more percentage of cognitive. She wanted to speak in Tamil, if I remember right. But Tamilarasi spoke in English. The name is Tamil, but she spoke in English. Without any, whatever she spoke, there was no hesitation. Language flaw was never a problem. So after seeing Tamilarasi only, I learned that to speak English, you don't need to be affective or cognitive. You don't need to be an extraordinary, powerful word smart. But even if you practice something very religiously, you can still become a great speaker. Maybe the contents may not come extempo. It will come with some preparation. But definitely her communication, I am very happy that she gave a wonderful talk. I don't know how many of you could perceive that. She started with a metaphor. See, for a reflective person, I'm still wondering how does this metaphor they are able to pick up and speak. I think my first appreciation is towards the way she spoke about some small connecting metaphors to start with her talk without any flow problem with the flow. It's just like a well rehearsed event or a speech. She has done it excellently well. That's something I have a first appreciation to go. And I said this is second lesson I learned from her presentation. I don't know how many of you noticed, is that capital X on the right parietal has made her a couch potato. She won't move her body unless otherwise there is an emergency. Okay, to be practicing in an emergency room, you need not be be a strong X there. In fact, to be an emergency doctor, it is better to be having a small X or capital X in the right parietal, because you will sit in the chair, you will not go. Patients are coming. Where is the emergency doctor? They need not to search for them, because he won't move her body unless otherwise it is for an emergency purpose, for personal purpose. So what is the advantage of it? There is more converging in the parietal lobe. There is zero diverging, which means the calculations, exams writing, articulating by writing something comes to her very naturally. This is what has made her what she is today. So if at all, something she should feel blessing, in my opinion, is the capital X in the right parietal. Though it must have, that will produce some other challenges in life. But to become a doctor, to become a professional, to do something good enough, to go and think of doing a medical profession, even if it is an alternative or the naturopathy, you need to have some academic talents that has come from the writing ability, that comes from the realistic number one. If you notice in the Riyasek, realistic is number one. That means you give her papers, she will write and write and write and write. The exam papers will be so much of information. Though contents may be a challenge, but she never says, oh yeah, enough I have written. No. So the more she practices, accumulates knowledge, information, she can write very well. So the writing examination skill, right, left parietal is connected with your exam writing skill. That is very, very strong for her as far as the parietal energy is concerned. That is her second magic, comes from the converging parietal lobe. That is realistic. The mathematical step-by-step process comes to her excellently well. That is what is going to make her a research person in the days to come. Because when it comes to the steps, she can be so much systematic, putting things in a particular order. So orderly way of doing things she does excellently well. And that's coming from the high converging and zero diverging in the parietal lobe. Then the magic comes, the right occipital. See, one thing I have learned recently, and probably I'll teach them in the Rewire program, is sensory lobes are the physical aspect of the frontal and prefrontal lobe. I repeat once again. The intuitive, the frontal and prefrontal are the non-physical aspect of the sensory lobes. What we can call it as the concrete and the abstract. Concrete means what you can feel, touch, and hear and see, the sensory oriented learning. She is very high on sensory learning. But as an adult, this sensory lobes behave like a prefrontal and the frontal lobe. This is something like an indirectly getting that support. So, my dear friends, if frontal lobe and prefrontal lobes are reflective, need not underestimate the individual's performance. Because if the sensory lobes are strong, that helps them to overcome the difficulties that is not there because of the frontal and prefrontal. Now remember, her strongest lobe out of all the compartments is the right occipital. That's the intuitiveness in concrete. This is what we call the gut feeling. So the gut feeling, the body intuitiveness, these animals have them in larger quantity. So if you don't have it in the prefrontal lobe, if you have it in the occipital lobe, it behaves like a prefrontal lobe, but it needs that concrete experience. That is the only difference. It is like eating laddu and thinking about laddu. Okay? Once you have tasted it, even somebody says laddu, you will feel like eating. That's kind of an experience that you go through. So her magic of doing naturopathy, I figured it out. It comes from the right occipital lobe. We all know the visual lobe is connected with science. The right occipital is connected with natural science. The left occipital is connected with digital science or the computer science. But it should be affective in compartment. If once it becomes a cognitive, then complexity comes, then you cannot apply the same formula. Maybe you can think diverging is natural and converging is computer science. So the more you have computer science, the more converging is there, more technological oriented thought process will be there for you. That is why computer programming, the digital, the data science, the engineering drawing, all of them are coming from the left occipital. For her, the left occipital is also good. The right occipital is even more good. So I would say her brain, the prefrontal, is taken over by the right occipital because they form the same compartment, that is the neocortex. So my dear friends, this is a great learning for me as well, that you need not underestimate the reflective lobes. The difference is, if your reflective lobes are there in the prefrontal, you need somebody to teach you, and then you become that person. And that is where I think her learning with genetic brain profiling. And I must say, the person who came with Dr. Tamilarasi, for various reasons, she could not do, and she did not do. Even if she has done it, maybe Tamil will know. At least I have not come across her speaking. And the another learning that I got today is the right parietal, because it is capital X, it is not real. Asanas will not fit to her. But if you have to sit in one place and contemplate in your mind with your visualizing ability, you can visualize new things, new dimensions of life, because your right occipital, which is part of the picture smart, which is the part of the introspecting learning process. So if you look into that, she had two domains very strong. One is the analytic domain, that's experimenting. That's where I think she will be a research, person. It is not that she will become roaring something out of the world, but whatever work she does, she will be an excellent student for whomsoever is going to be with her as a guide. She can very meticulously get into that, understand what is expected from her, and she can work with it with a lot of commitment and loyalty. The good news with sensory learners are, because they don't contemplate and find shortcut methods to, I would say, deceive people, the cheating, the shortcuts, the faking, all of them comes from the frontal and prefrontal. We call it as smart, but I think it's a manipulative mindset only. Okay, so I think she can be very truthful, and she would say, "No, I did not come. I don't know. I did not do it rightly. I think." Otherwise, you would try to, manipulate and say something to cover up your failures. So a reflective person will not do any cover-up activity, even if it comes to going through a punishment. They will not do cover-up because they don't know to do cover-up. But people with other personalities, they will try something, if not everything, to just, be away from the, people putting down or, commenting about criticism they cannot stand. So the four compartments of the frontal and prefrontal put together are reflective. She is the most innocent person in the world to begin with. But over a period of time, she would learn something about the individuals and probably will handle them in a slightly better way. So much to learn from a reflective person. And what amazed me is she did a good number of scans. I'm sure all those whom he did scans with whatever counseling support, I think Suresh has been a great, support for her in learning counseling. We have also done some, the 10 o'clock sessions also we have done. And she has done a good number of scans. And she has handled everyone who is more powerful than her. She is a focused learner. Maybe the friends and the known people who came to her for learning or for profiling, all of them could have been having a higher potential than her. But I think her commitment, her in-depth understanding, or reflecting, maybe I would say this reflectiveness, if I become her mentor for 6 months, she would be a Xerox of Ratinism. That's the kind of power the reflective comes in. You teach whatever you teach, they will grasp it and they will keep it for their further reference. And then a slow improvement will come, but that will come only because of practice and practice and practice. So, personally speaking, I never, to be very honest, I never thought that she was so busy with her work, she will come back and give a self-discovery session. And even when Suresh scheduled her for self-discovery session, I had my own apprehensions whether whether she will go through it it or not, because of the long gap that she has been abstaining because of the COVID. I think after COVID she hasn't done any scans, if I'm right, and if at all she has done, maybe Suresh would know, but I have not come across. So my advice to her is, you have learned a wonderful tool and you have learned it very well, reasonably good. But because you are a reflective person, you should continue to learn and keep it as a practice of doing at least few scans in a month, or maybe some 10 scans in in 2-3 months time, that would be a great opportunity for you, because having learned this tool and got some clarity, maybe you will need sorry, maybe you will need an audio bite, or a discussion with someone about the key points that you will require. Once an audio bite is given, I think you will definitely be able to handle your counselings well, and that will heal you, that will help you, that will give you a wonderful experience, of genetic brain profiling throughout your life. And I'm sure this learning that you did, and because you are going to be connected with your clients or patients, or your whomsoever with whom you are going to deal, I'm sure you will be doing a lot of research all the time, because of the left parietal and the right occipital together. That is what I say, research in naturopathy or in the clinical practice. So I think very, very, I am personally happy that I learned something more about your profile, and it's a great learning for me as well. So I thank everyone for having attended today's session. Especially my sincere gratitude goes to Dr. Kanagaraj, who is a IAS coach academy he runs in Coimbatore. He is a retired professor from Government Arts College, Coimbatore, and currently she is offering free coaching for children to do their IAS. So I'm happy to have connected with him. And it is nice that he stayed right from 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock. And I'm sure these sessions would help him to understand why some children are doing excellently well when it comes to government exams or IAS coachings and entrance exams. So I was telling him, he must have helped 5,000 children with his coaching, maybe out of which 250 or 500 would have got benefited into IAS and IPS and other kinds of exams. I told him the remaining 4,500 also would have benefited had you knew about this profile and how it can be useful. So today only we spoke on phone, and I requested him to be there, so that we are doing a wonderful service if we can do it by understanding the service that we are doing and maximizing our reach and making a better impact. It will be a very nice thing. So thank you, sir. Thank you for being with us today. We'll definitely have you in this session. We would like to have you explaining about your journey, and the kind of students you groom, and what is your experience, and how do you handle the 21st century, if not children. Their adults are also in a way children, because they come to classroom means they are children only. So keeping that in mind, we'll definitely request you to be part of this this learning process, and also invite you to explore this tool and spread this magic to as much as human beings in this planet. So once again, I thank Ravi sir, Bhartika, Nityanandi ma'am, Anil, and Nisha, all those who thought spending some time with today's session. And once again, I thank Dr. Tamilarasi for taking up this session. You did a fabulous job, wonderful presentation. At least you have surpassed my expectations, to be very honest. And I think that's something I am very happy about having infused or having made a difference in somebody's life by going through the transformation with the genetic brain profiling. So thank you once again for taking up this session. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye bye.